recording.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Many of our problems in life are due to a misapprehension of the nature of. If we clearly realize that the creative power in ourselves is unlimited, then there is no reason to limit the extent of what we can enjoy by means of this power. When we are drawing from the infinite, we need never be afraid of taking more than our share. That is not where the danger lies. The danger is in not sufficiently realizing our own richness and in viewing the externalized products of our creative power as being the true riches instead of the creative power of spirit itself. If we avoid this error, there is no need to limit ourselves in taking what we will from the infinite storehouse. And the way to avoid this error is by realizing that true wealth is in identifying ourselves with the spirit of opulence. We must be opulent in our thought. Do not think money as such, for that is only one means of opulence. But think largely, generously, liberally, and you will find that the means of realizing this thought will flow to you from all quarters, whether as money or as 100 other things not to be reckoned in cash. We must not make ourselves dependent on any particular form of wealth, or insist on it coming to us through some particular channel, for that is to impose a limitation and to shut out other forms of wealth and to close other channels. Instead, we must enter into the spirit of wealth. The spirit is life, and throughout the universe, life ultimately consists in circulation, whether within the physical body of the individual or on the scale of the entire solar system. Circulation means a continual flowing around, and the spirit of opulence is no exception to this universal law of all life. When this principle becomes clear to us, we shall see that our attention should be directed to the giving rather than the receiving. We must look upon ourselves not as a miser's safe to be kept locked for our own benefit, but as centers of distribution, and the better we fulfill our function as such centers, the greater will be the corresponding inflow. If we choke the outlet, the current must slacken. A full and free flow can be obtained only by keeping it open. The spirit of opulence, the opulent mode of thought, consists in cultivating the feeling that we possess all sorts of riches which we can bestow upon others, and which we can bestow liberally because by this very action, we open the way for still greater supplies to flow in. Now, you may be saying to yourself, but I am short of money. I hardly know how to pay for the necessities. What have I to give? The answer is that we must always start from the point where we are. And if your wealth at the present moment is not abundant on the material plane, you need not trouble to start on that plane. There are other sorts of wealth still more valuable on the spiritual and intellectual planes, which you can give. Therefore, you can start from this point and practice the spirit of opulence, even though your balance at the bank may be nil. Then the universal law of attraction will begin to assert itself. You will not only begin to experience an inflow on the spiritual and intellectual planes, but it will extend itself to the material plane also. It is not money, but the love of money that is the root of evil. And the spirit of opulence is precisely the attitude of mind which is furthest removed from the love of money for its own sake. It does not believe in money. What it does believe in is the generous feeling which is the intuitive recognition of the great law of circulation, which does not in any undertaking make its first question, how much am I going to get by it? But how much am I going to do by it? And by making this the first question, the getting will flow in with a generous profusion and with a spontaneous and rightness of direction that are absent when our first thought is of receiving only. We are not called upon to give what we have not yet got and to run into debt, but we are to give liberally of what we have, with the knowledge that by so doing, we are setting the law of circulation to work. And as this law brings us greater and greater inflows of every kind of good, so our outgiving will increase, not by depriving ourselves of any expansion of our own life that we may desire, but by finding that every expansion makes us the more powerful instruments for expanding the life of others. Live and let live is the motto of true opulence. Now, let us turn to beauty. Do we sufficiently direct our thoughts to the subject of beauty? I think not. We are too apt to regard beauty as merely a superficial thing, and do not realize all that it implies. This was not the case with the great thinkers of the ancient world. For example, Plato describes beauty as the expression of all that is highest and greatest in the system of the universe. These great philosophers of old were no superficial thinkers, and therefore would never have elevated beauty to a supreme place if it were only superficial. Therefore, we shall do well to ask what it is that these great minds found in the idea of beauty, which made it appeal to them as the most perfect outward expression of all that lies deepest in the fundamental law of being. It is because, rightly apprehended, beauty represents the supreme living quality of thought. It is the glorious overflowing of love's fullness, and indicates the presence of infinite reserves of power behind it. It is the joyous profusion that shows the possession of inexhaustible stores of wealth, which can afford to be lavish and yet remain as exhaustless as before. Read correctly, beauty is the index to the whole nature of being. Beauty is the externalization of harmony, and harmony is the coordinated working of all the powers of being, both in the individual and in the relation of the individual to the infinite from which it springs. And therefore, this harmony conducts us at once into the presence of the innermost, undifferentiated life. Beauty is most immediately in touch with the deepest mysteries of life. It is the brightness of glory spreading itself over the sanctuary of the divine spirit. When viewed from without, beauty is the province of the artist and the poet, and lays hold of our emotions and appeals directly to the innermost feelings of our heart. It speeds across the bridge of reason with such quick feet that we pass from the outmost to the inmost and back again in the twinkling of an eye. But the bridge is still there, and retracing our steps more leisurely, we shall find that viewed from within, beauty is also the province of the calm thinker and analyst. What the poet and artist seize upon intuitively, they elaborate gradually, but the result is the same in both cases. For no intuition is true which cannot be expanded into a rational sequence of intelligible factors, and no argument is true which cannot be condensed into that rapid suggestion which is intuition. Thus the impassioned artist and the calm thinker both find that it is only true beauty which proceeds naturally from the actual construction of that which it expresses. In other words, beauty is not something added on as an afterthought, but something pre-existing in the original idea, something to which that idea naturally leads up to. The test of beauty asks, what does it express? Is it merely a veneer, a coat of paint laid on from without? Then it is indeed nothing but a whited sepulchre, a covering to hide the vacuity or deformity which needs to be removed. But is it the true and natural outcome of what is beneath the surface? Then it is the index to superabounding life, love, and intelligence. Wherever, therefore, we find beauty, we may infer an enormous reserve of power behind it. In fact, we may look upon it as the invisible expression of the great truth that life power is infinite. And when the inner meaning of beauty is thus revealed to us, and we learn to know it as the very fullness and overflowing of power, we shall find that we have gained a new standard for the guidance of our own lives. We must begin today to use this wonderful process which we have learned from nature. Having learned how nature works, how God works, we must begin to work in like manner, and never consider any work complete until we have carried it to some final outcome of beauty, whether material, intellectual, or spiritual. Is my intention good? That is the initial question, for the intention determines the nature of the essence in everything. What is the most beautiful form in which I can express the good I intend? That is the ultimate question, for the true beauty which our work expresses is the measure of its power, its intelligence, its love. In a word, of the quantity and quality of our own life which we have put into it. Nothing is of so small account that it does not have its fullest power of expression in some form of beauty peculiarly its own. Beauty is the law of perfect thought, be it the subject of our thought some scheme affecting the welfare of millions, or a word spoken to a little child. True beauty and true power are the correlatives of one another. Kindly expression originates in kindly thought, and kindly expression is the essence of beauty, which, seeking to express itself ever more and more perfectly, becomes that fine touch of sympathy which is artistic skill, whether applied when working upon material substances or upon the emotions of the heart. Seeing thus that the beautiful is the true expression of the good, from whichever end of the scale we look, we shall find that they accurately measure each other. They are the same thing in the outermost and the innermost, respectively. But in our search for a higher beauty than we have yet found, we must beware of missing the beauty that already exists. Perfect harmony with its environment and perfect expression of its own inward nature are what constitute beauty. And our ignorance of the nature of the thing or its environment may shut our eyes to the beauty it already has. It takes the genius of a Van Gogh in painting, or a Whitman in words, to show us the beauty of those ordinary workaday figures with which our world is for the most part peopled, whose originals we pass by as having no form or attractiveness. Assuredly, the mission of every thinking man and woman is to help build up forms of greater beauty everywhere, be they spiritual, intellectual, or material. But to do so, we must enter the great realistic school of nature and learn to recognize the beauty that already surrounds us, even though it may have a little dirt on the surface. Then, when we have learnt the great principles of beauty from the all-pervading spirit which it reflects, we shall know how to develop the beauty on its own proper lines, without perpetuating the dirt and grime. And we shall know that all beauty is the expression of living power, and that we can measure our own power by the degree to which we have transformed our lives and the lives of those around us
for the better.
For the better.
What a great audio. So I'm going to dive right into this. Welcome everybody to the call. Welcome, Melissa. Cooperation over competition. What does that headline really speak out to you? You know, I believe in the experience of venturing online and doing the different things that I've been able to put my attention into. Cooperation is basically allowing a team, allowing your peers or whoever you're really hanging out with, be in harmony with that culture, right? The cooperation of others is what really brings us success, right? It's like every mentor out there, they deliver the success to their clients, right? Every coach out there delivers the success to their clients. They're in cooperation, right, with others, not in competition. Okay, there's quite a difference then see, with competition, a lot of people would say, and myself included, before I had any knowledge or any experience with it, competition, some people will use it as ego driven, right? They'll put their ego into it, and they'll be in competition with everybody else. And Bob Proctor specifically says that we ourselves are our own competition, right? So if we find ourselves in competition with somebody else that may be doing just a smidge bit better than us, then maybe it's something that we need to reflect on, right? If we're not reflecting on anything that's upsetting us, we're not allowing ourselves to grow properly, right? So let's dive into this lesson. So in the last lesson, we walked through the SRTs, okay? You may possibly now have them memorized and know exactly what they stand for. They have been the trading strategy for over a century, but are only considered a basic strategy. As we go further into this course, we will start to understand exactly how these algorithms move and operate so we can make profits in these markets. Okay, so what have we all covered so far? We covered SRTs, support, resistance, and trends. We've covered key points about SRTs. We've covered the do's and don'ts when it comes to trading. And we went into fundamentals of trading, which is mindset, environment, structure, right? And how to actually properly analyze the market, okay? There are many opportunities to make money in these markets. One thing that is for sure is patience pays. Patience pays, okay? Some trades will not play out in your favor. Some may cost more, some less, right? But it is in these moments when we lose is where we really need to allow ourselves the time to reflect, okay, on the mistakes and the environment, or possibly the people we've allowed ourselves to be distracted by, okay? Because all these things can play a role in your success, even if it's not trading. It's our environment that really shapes us, right? And the people we hang out with. Anything and everything can upset our trading experience because it is how our brains react or respond to set situations and or outcomes, okay? So I put this picture in here to really understand what a fixed mindset is and what a growth mindset is, right? If you're in a growth mindset, you believe that you can learn anything. And if you put the work in, practice and effort, you embrace that change, right? If you're putting that effort and you're practicing it daily, you're going to embrace the change, okay? That's a growth mindset. Now, a fixed mindset believes they think they cannot increase their own skills and knowledge in a particular area. Maybe they fear change, right? Maybe they have some doubt or some limiting beliefs, right? They're in a fixed mindset. So, which mindset do you operate with? A fixed or a growth mindset? In my experience in this training economy, it is that we can tend to want to be in control, myself included. Okay. When I started in this amazing adventure, it wasn't about the money. Sure, you can make a lot of money quick, depending on how much you're willing to risk. However, it is completely 100% that you understand how to properly risk your money by putting it to work. Okay, we have to understand how to properly risk that money that we're putting to work. So there's some steps to follow to get your trading journey on the way. Set up a trading view. There is a 30-day free trial, okay? You can save your templates of your indicators that you decide to use. This trial gives you access to everything. When the trial runs out, you are limited to only 3 built indicators. So that's why it's good to take advantage of this 30-day trial so that you can use all the indicators and you can save those templates. And if you need any help, we can get on a call with you and show you how to actually do that. Okay. So I also dropped a link here. You can get your free trial by clicking this link here. Okay. Choosing a broker. There are many brokers out there. Now, if your options is to go with an MT4 account rather than option trading, then this is where you need to pick a specific broker to your country, state, and or city. Keep in mind that not all brokers will be the same. It is sometimes challenging if you overthink this process. Simple research minimizes the risk here, okay? So the next step is to set up your MT4 on MetaTrader, and you can do it here on this link, okay? Now we're ready to place our first trade. Keep in mind the risks you are managing and practice it properly to the size of your account. So I gave 7 skills to trading mastery here, okay? So number 1 is charting. Learn the basics, SRTs, get familiar with the indicators on TradingView, okay? Number 2, risk management. It is not the number of profits you make, it is how you keep it, okay? This is essential to your trading journey. Number 3, stay consistent. Choose 1 or 2 hours daily and stick to this plan to learn the skill set. 4, pick a currency pair. Familiarize yourself with currency pairs, okay? There's many ones that you can trade, okay? There's lots of them. Dwindle it down to the one you profit with most, okay? So whichever one is giving you the most profits, just trade that pair, only that pair, right? Discipline, right? Discipline, stick to your winning strategy or currency pair, and risk management guidelines. This is essential, guys. This is really essential, this discipline, okay? Number 6. Now, before we actually dive into number 6, I just want to share a bit of an experience. When I first started trading, this was huge for me. Managing my emotions, right? It was huge, right? Because our emotions attach to things that excite us and things that really make us in fear or doubt, okay? Our emotions are attached to those things. So when we win large, we're going to be excited, right? Our emotions are excited. That's the emotion there, right? If we lose, we're going to have the emotion like, shit, what did I do? What did I do wrong, right? And you start doubting your ability. You start doubting the different things that you put into practice, right? Now, if we start doubting ourselves, we know where that leads us because we've heard that in the previous lessons, right? So understanding how to emotionally manage yourself when you're trading is one of the biggest skills in mastering your trading experience, okay? Do not seek revenge or get depressed if you're having a bad day. On the flip side, don't get too happy when you're having a great session, right? Number 7, compound. As you apply the last 5 skills, I meant to put 6 here, so we'll just change that quickly. 6. The last 6 skills, you will be in a better position to keep your wins consistent to scale out your account size. Okay, so when you follow all these steps and you stay consistent with it and you manage your emotions, you're going to consistently scale your account size. Okay, you'll consistently do it. So follow these steps above and you are well on your way to creating the journey, the experience you are looking for. Trading doesn't have to be confusing. Follow the teacher and be coachable is the only way we progress, okay? Now we're going to go to a chart so I can show you a little bit here. Of course, I'm going to go to Bitcoin because I just love this pair. This week alone, I found 3 harmonics on it. This one played out 3,000 pips. This one did the same. And there was one previous to this one. But it was such a great experience in itself finding these setups, right? So once you start really applying it, you're gonna find them yourselves, and it's just gonna be easy, right? As you continue. So the reason why I chose Bitcoin is because there's a couple pairs that actually follow this. And that's how I taught myself how to read Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is the future. And if you haven't figured that out already, then just do some research and you'll understand what I'm talking about, okay? So I'm gonna go up to the 4-hour and I'm gonna just kind of bring this down so we can see this consolidation area, okay? All right. Down, so I'm gonna get this whole area here. And what I'm gonna show you is just how I would normally mark up a chart if I was looking for a trade, okay? So just let me do my thing. And if there's any questions, just comment in the chat box or reach out to me personally after you've watched the replay, okay? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take this horizontal line. We're gonna come up here to that structure. And now the reason why I put it here is because you can see how it's in line, right? Some of this has broke this resistance. Let's call it the roof, okay? It's a resistance. This is where your resistance line is, but it's also the roof of this market, okay? So now we're gonna look for the next one, which is usually at the bottom of this structure here. So we're gonna just, let's see here, where we have the most lineup. Okay, that's more than likely right there. Yeah, there's structure, there's touch there. And you can see that she came down and then came back to retest and down she went. Yeah, so that's perfect right there. So now we're gonna look for our next structure area, which would more than likely be, because she just drops right down after this. Come to the center because I got more control over this. Okay, so that's where the spot should be. You can see she came and touched here. She touched there. And she's touching in these 2 spots too, right? So there's the perfect area there. Now this is our last structure here, right? So we're gonna come down to the bottom of this now. Now keep in mind, we're just lining it up to the body of these areas here, right? And some of these wicks are touching this area. You can tell it's huge for the support, huge support line. So we have our drawn lines in on the 4-hour. Now, what I like to do is I like to come over to this again. And because we found our supports and our resistance lines, now we're going to look for a trend, okay? So we're going to look to see which way this market is trending, okay? So we're going to grab our trend line. I'm going to come up to the top here. And we're just going to bring this down. Keep in mind that you don't have to, I'm bringing it to there because we have a touch here. And we don't have our 3rd touch yet, but she could touch down here somewhere, right? And we're going to change the color of this because it's a different thing. Let's go yellow. All right. Now let's zoom this out. Now, do you think we have another downtrend on this side? It's very choppy. So what I do believe, and what I do specifically when the market looks like this and it goes sideways and you're looking for your trends, is what I do is I just use this support as my next line, right? Because you're going to want to wait to see what it does along the support. As you can see, it's touched many times, right? So the resistance can only last for so long. So this market is probably going to shoot down, right? It'll probably shoot down. And we can find that out more as we start to analyze on the lower time frames to find out what's going on right now, okay? So I'm going to leave that as is, like that, and we're going to go down to the 1 hour, okay? We're just going to have a peek. Have a peek here. So we got lots. We had a little bit of a downtrend here. She went sideways. She looks like she's uptrending a tiny bit at the end here. Let's pull this up more. Okay. So I'm gonna do this and we'll see what goes on. I'm gonna take it from this point. Okay, that didn't work because it jumped up. So we'll wait here. There we go. Now we're gonna come up here. And we have a triangle, right? So what does this look like? It looks like it's a triangle, but if we come over here, look up this. Forex, price action, patterns. Oh, hold on. Let's go. Cheat sheet. Okay, so now let's have a look to see if we can find, it should probably be on here. Right, I'm looking for wedges here. Let's take a peek. Oh, excellent. Here we go. Okay, so let's go back to our chart. We're looking at this here. Will it bring it up more? Just want a better picture of it. Okay. All right, so we're looking at this guy. Let's come back over here. Back over here. I think we're closer to this guy than we are this guy, right? I think we're closer to this guy than we are this guy, because if you look over here, she's kind of going up, right? So that means that she's going to break down. It might come up to here and resist this area, and then we're going to have a huge impulse move to break down to the downside, right? We'll have a huge impulsive move to break down to the downside. Now, when you don't understand anything, you can look it up on Google, right? That's why I pulled this chart up, so that it's better understood. When you find something in the market and you're not quite sure, you can find these cheat sheets on Google. They really help you understand things, okay? So we're looking at a bearish rising wedge on Bitcoin, okay? So this means that this market will go down. And before we looked that up, I said, for what I do see, this market looks like it's going to go down. So we are correct on that specific, now that we Googled it. So we're going to wait. And you know, it's kind of funny. Yesterday, I was telling my team, I said, in the next few days, we can see Bitcoin drop, right? And that's exactly what she's going to do. So that being said, let's go down to the 15-minute here. Like I said, this is a quick training, so I'm just going to keep it very simple, and then we're going to give out the homework. So I also want you to just, if you have a trading view yet, or if you're going to set it up this weekend, just keep an eye on this chart. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm right, right? The feedback is always good, right? So this being said here, I like what I see on this 15-minute. I really do. So as you can see, the price is right here. And if we pull this back, she's at structure, right? She's right at the structure here. So she's also broken a little bit of this 200. And we're going to dive into MAs. There's a little bit of homework on them today. But next lesson, we're going to start talking about moving averages, okay? And that's these lines going through the market. That helps you set up your trade, right? It helps you understand specifically where to get in these markets. These MAs are a game changer, okay? And like I said, they help you set up your trade. And we'll dive into them in the next lesson. There's also a little bit in the homework, like I said, to familiarize yourself with these MAs. So that being said, I'm going to tie up this lesson here. We're going to go to the doc. And lesson 10, cooperation over competition. As we dive deeper into these markets, you'll start to train your eyes to catch certain patterns and or spot moving averages to line up your trade. The secret to trading is not to lose money. And with a definite plan and a course for its attainment, it will surely bring you the results, okay? So here we give you a video on structure. Now, I know we started watching some of this last lesson, but this is actually part of the homework today. Last lesson was just, we were piecing it together so that you guys could understand a little bit by little bit, because getting into something that's unfamiliar can be confusing, right? It was for me. I didn't know what I was doing when I first started trading, right? I didn't even know what Forex or crypto or any of this stuff was, right? So yes, it can be a little overwhelming. So my educator, my leader, is going to go over structure, SRTs with you in this video in more in depth, right? And he's going to show you specifically where they line up, how you can get in and trade this properly, okay? So, and then I said, moving averages, right? This guy's going to go over moving averages, what they are, how you can profit from them, okay? And of course, we got the audiobook of The Magic of Thinking Big, okay? If you're not thinking big when you're trading, you're always going to have average results, right? So, and we're not average people. If you're out there trying to be somebody more than what you are right now, then you're not an average thinker, right? So the magic of thinking big is going to help you understand what is essential for you to take your life to the next level, okay? Especially within these markets. And then we're going to reprogram your mind for wealth. This is a audio that really helped me understand things, right? You just listen to it while you sleep. It's an 8-hour audio, and it's going to reprogram your mind, right? We can't learn something unless we unlearn it first, okay? We have to unlearn and then relearn. This audio here is going to help you reprogram your mind for wealth if you've not experienced it yet, okay? So I want to thank you guys for your time, because we know it's valuable. And I'm excited. You know what I'm going to go do right now? I'm going to go test out my equipment for my event that I'm having in the city. So it's really exciting. And like I said, thank you guys all for your time. You know, you guys all make it worth it. You guys make it worth it spending time and building these lessons for you guys, because it's your results that matter. Okay. So thank you again. And I hope you have a great day. I'm going to stop the recording.